Hello and welcome everybody. Good evening from my side. My name is Lisa Jans and I'm also known as Job Coach Germany. And as you can see, I am not here on my own. I have a special guest today and it's Marta Kojnok. Hi Marta, how are you?
Hi, Lisa. Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I am so pleased that you are here today. And this session is not at all about me, but more about you. So let me give you all who are watching, and I can see that you're watching. So whoever is watching, let us know in the comments where you're currently at or where you're from. Marta and I would like to know what is up with your German learning journey. So Marta is a specialist when it comes to learning the German language. And she has a very individual approach to teaching the German language. I can say from my personal experience, I'm very happy that I'm German, that I don't have to learn the language. Because sometimes I find it is very difficult, especially explaining it to somebody who is just learning the language. I find our language very, very difficult. So I'm very glad that there are people out there who make German a success. And that's what you call it as well, German for success. And you have a very individual approach. So I'm very much looking forward to learning more about that. So thanks so much, Marta, for sharing your time and expertise with us tonight.
Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's already somebody watching here, just to put that here a little bit. So Bindu says hi with a little wave. Hi, Bindu. Okay, so my very first question, Marta, that I want to ask you is something that the people understand a little bit more about your story. So why did you come to Germany?
Okay, so I myself has an expat story. I come from Hungary and I came to Germany first as an exchange student with the so-called Erasmus scholarship.
Ah, yeah.
So I studied 2 semesters in Göttingen in Lower Saxony. But then I went back to Hungary, but somehow I fell in love with the language, with the culture, and even with with the German guys. So I came back, and actually I decided because this period of my life was. So it was really a life-changing experience when I came to Germany. So I thought I would love to support others and help them have a similar journey.
Yeah.
So that they can really enjoy their stay in Germany.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense because it's so much more relatable for people who see that you have gone through this process yourself. And it's so interesting to hear that you came to Germany first, then you went back home and you felt you somehow through that time when you were in Germany, you fell in love with our country. You also fell in love with the language, probably even more than the Germans fell in love with the language.
Yeah,
So
probably. Yeah.
and that is really cool to see, also to hear that there are so many different aspects. So Germany as the country, the language, people, and so on. And this is everything that is included in our life as a whole. We cannot just look at, okay, I'm just learning German. Normally there is something behind that, because people might want to learn a new language, but sometimes that's especially for the people that are working with me, they need German for their work, right? And that's why it's there are so many different parts involved in this German journey, not just the German language but also Germany, that it's really interesting to see that you have gone through this journey yourself, because you can talk to people about that, and it's just so much easier for them to see, oh yeah, Marta understands what I'm going through because she has been there.
Yeah, I know all the ups and downs because
Yeah,
yeah, I had them. I had them
yeah,
too.
yeah,
But as you mentioned, I find it very interesting and very important to tell that how individual the whole journey is. As you said, every expert journey is individual, And every language learning journey is individual too, because we have different motivations. As you said, most of your clients need German for their jobs. That's
Yeah.
also my program, or my approach is also called German for Success, because I see the language as a tool
Yeah.
to reach certain goals. It can be a personal or a professional development, but somehow we want to grow. We have this new life situation and we want to enjoy ourselves. We want
Yeah.
to improve ourselves. And the language is just a tool for that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
that's how I see
true. And it's also a tool for connection. Yeah, so for connecting with other people, with the culture, to understand that better. That's always something that I realized when I was learning English, for example. I couldn't connect with the people in the English speaking countries too well if there was a barrier. Yeah, like
it.
a big barrier at the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And where are you currently living? Do you want to share that with us in Germany?
Yes, I live near to Berlin in a small village. I used to live in Berlin. Now I live outside of Berlin, but I'm still in Berlin very
Yeah.
often. So I still work here. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you are working, you mostly work remotely, right?
Yeah, mostly
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And now, before we dive more into you being a German trainer and coach, uh, do you remember what kind of job you wanted to have, or what kind of career you wanted to have when you were a child?
Not really. So very vague. I can remember that I mentioned once in school that I want to be a teacher, but it wasn't very, like my big dream. It
Mhm.
was more like I was very fascinated by languages, like from a very early age.
Mhm.
And I thought, and fortunately, my family supported me with this, that I just go with the flow and I just study what I'm interested in, because that's a nice thing to have a job where you really have that enthusiasm and your interest in. So I just decided, okay, I want to do something with languages. I want to study languages, and then just it happened because, as I said, once I went through my own journey, I realized I can really help others with this, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I even think German is actually not so difficult. That's I would say.
yeah,
It's actually a very logical language, and that helps a lot. It has a
yeah,
lot of rules, but it's still it's logical, and it is possible to learn it. And I want to help people do so.
yeah. And but I mean, your mother tongue is a very difficult language for Germans to learn as well. So maybe it's the other way. But do you see similarities
Yes,
between?
there are some similarities, but only because of the common history
Yeah,
with Austria. So
yeah.
the German language from Austria has or had an influence on the Hungarian language. So we do have some German words,
Mhm.
but the grammar is different,
Is
obviously.
different, yeah. And I whenever I encounter people from abroad, I have the feeling they have like when they know how to speak German, they speak it very precisely and on point and correctly, because they are speaking the yeah, like to the point that they have learned it. And when they listen to Germans speaking, you sometimes realize, well, that's the wrong case. That's not how we say that. And I think that's the most confusing part. And especially also for me, I have to admit, whenever, I mean, I'm from the northern part of Germany, right? And when I sometimes visit friends who are in Munich, for example, somewhere in Bavaria, or in Stuttgart, in that area, I have problems understanding people there with this really strong dialect. It's just I remember that I wanted to rent a car one time, and I had to ask a friend, "What did this person say?" I didn't understand. They were talking in German, but I didn't
Yeah.
understand. And I
Yeah.
think that is also something that is very difficult to learn. But with practice, everything gets better. right?
Yeah. And that is also something that I often do with my clients, or something that we often realize. Okay, this is how it is taught in the school. This is school German, but
Yeah,
actually nobody says that. So
yeah,
if you
mhm,
but if you live in the country, then you realize, okay, this is how people
yeah,
actually talk. And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
also very valuable, because if you learn that, then immediately your German will just sound correct, and
yes,
culturally, socially, and you can just express yourself more native like, if you know those
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. So now, to say it correctly, you are a German language trainer and coach, right? And what does that mean? What do you do?
Okay, so let's start with those definitions. Actually, I'm a trained teacher, a German
Yeah,
teacher,
yeah.
and I used to teach German for really for children, for adults. I did a lot of different things, and after a while, I realized that people mostly, after a certain level, need an individual approach, because
Yeah.
they have either a very individual goal. It can
Hmm.
be for a job, it can be something for their private life, but very often it's individual. So if they just follow the textbook and they just learn what everybody is supposed to learn, then
Hmm.
they just don't get there. It causes a lot of frustration,
Hmm.
because they are learning and learning, but they don't learn the right thing. They don't learn what they actually need.
Yeah.
So, because of this reason, I was searching for a long time. Okay, what could be the approach? Um, how could I change this way of learning and teaching? And
Hmm.
then, yeah, I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I found something very cool, and it's called language coaching.
Okay. Hmm.
And that is an approach in language education where you integrate the coaching mindset and the coaching approach. And by
Hmm.
coaching, I mean that with certain questions, you find out together with the client, okay, what are my goals?
Hmm.
Where are my resources?
Yeah.
How can I measure my success? And this
Ah.
is very individual things.
Yeah.
And then it's important to find the right time management, because
Yeah.
if you're already in Germany, or even if you are just planning to move to Germany, most probably you have a job, you might have family, kids, and so on. So a
Mm.
good time management is also very important, and then you have an action plan.
Yeah.
So this is an absolutely like a completely different approach than
Yeah.
teaching, because teaching is okay. This is the language. This is you need to know for A1, A2, and so on. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, okay, here's this person. What does this person need?
Yeah.
And I am there to support this person through this process of finding their way. Okay, this is where I am.
Yeah.
This is where I want to go, and
Hmm.
how can I get there quickly?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. This is really the first time that I've heard that somebody teaches German like that. Just any language. I mean, I've learned several languages, but just in school, and I was always wondering, okay, why do I have to learn that? It doesn't make any sense. And it's also something that I come across very often when people want to find a job and they are learning German and they
Mhm.
have to learn all of these different parts. So it's just reading, listening, speaking, grammar, but it's just general going to the zoo, going to the supermarket, but it's never
Exactly.
about their business life sometimes. And this
Exactly.
just comes at the end. Worry about that later. That's sometimes what happens, and that's just not the thing. So it's really amazing to hear that there is something like language coaching, so because it just has a lot more impact. It makes so much more sense now that you explained that to me, because First of all, it's very individual, a very individual approach, and as you said, every person is very unique. So somebody needs it for their for integrating into a certain community. Other people need it for their job life, and then we know these different portfolios of jobs that are out there. There are the engineers, we have the IT people, we have HR people, we have different departments, and so on. And everybody needs a different vocabulary set, right? And also, what I really like, what you just said, is finding out or analyzing the resources that you have. I think that's something that people underestimate a lot.
Exactly.
And not even knowing, oh, I do have this resource. Actually, I could listen to the radio, or I could have a chat with my colleague in the cafeteria, for example. But people are not aware of that, or are too afraid of that. Yeah.
Exactly. Those are two very important key points that you just mentioned.
Okay.
Often they are not aware. So
Yeah.
asking the right questions and just having that conversation is so helpful, because maybe they have never thought about that, or maybe they had some similar ideas, but they never acted on them. But if you talk about this with somebody, then they realize, okay, yeah, maybe I could do this and that and that.
Yeah.
So this is one part of resources, but other thing is about resources, and that's connected to this. If you're afraid, or if you have a lack of confidence or not, what kind of previous experience you had, either with the German language, with Germans in general, or with learning, because very often that's another case. Often people are learning and learning. Maybe they learn the right thing, maybe not so much, but they are learning and learning, but they have some major blocks and in their mindsets, and the lack of confidence. And also their coaching, language coaching, is such a brilliant tool to have a look and to find out, okay, what is this really about, and how can we find a maybe kind of solution, or how can we with small steps change that mindset and shift it.
I get goosebumps when you say that, because it is like that. People, you are learning a language and you think you're quite good at listening. You may start watching movies in German, and you understand, and you're very proud of yourself that you can read a German book and that you understand everything. But when it comes to speaking, a lot of people have obstacles in their mind, and that's what I find is really underrepresented, actually, that you could use coaching to get to those limiting beliefs, why you are afraid. That's really cool. I'm already a huge fan of that. So how can I understand that better when a person approaches you and wants to work with you? What do you offer them? Is it like because what you're telling me, it's not sufficient just to have one lesson with you. That doesn't make any sense.
No. So sometimes I also work with beginners, but very often people who approach me are advanced learners, and they are around B1, B2, so they already know the basic structures of the German language. They already know basic vocabulary, and it's more like, okay, I have this job, I work in this industry, but I don't have the vocabulary, or I might have the vocabulary, but I'm really too afraid or too scared to raise my voice and speak up in a meeting, because a lot of fear of judgment and just all those mindset things. And then so normally it depends on the goals, but I work with somebody for at least 3 months. And the beginning is a pure coaching. As I mentioned, first, we really need to know what are the goals, and they need to be those so-called SMART goals. So I think most of the people have heard about them. So they should be realistic and measurable at the end. So what are the goals that we can achieve within 3 months? And then it's not always needed, but sometimes it's good to check, okay, what is the mindset around the the German language itself, because as you mentioned, a lot of people think, oh, this is so difficult. It's just not possible to learn and so on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can explore that too, or a mindset about yeah, my pronunciation, what people think when I make a mistake. I want to be professional,
Yeah.
just as I am in my native language or in English. So we explore that and have a look. Okay, do we have to work on that or not? If not, that's fine too. Then we find a very individual solution for time management.
Yeah.
There are some really cool tools there, how very busy people can commit and really spend at least 10 to 30 minutes a day with German, and they can really make progress. And then we have we very often with those people we have to work with authentic um, articles, videos, and so on. So it's mostly, as I mentioned, they already know quite some German, and it's more about, okay, how can I learn the language of my industry, the language of my work?
Yeah.
And then we have a close look. Okay, what do I need actually for that? Do I miss the vocabulary, the industry related vocabulary? If yes, then we work on that, and we together, because I always say my client is the expert of their life, and I'm the expert of the language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, in a coaching approach, we find together sometimes YouTube videos, sometimes some articles, sometimes even some text or something that they use within the company.
Yeah.
Because very often they already have different languages, but they prefer English, but they have something in German. So we can work with that, and we can then more like a trainer, sometimes even as a teacher, work with the language. Exactly. Okay, how can I build up my vocabulary? What are the most effective and efficient learning techniques? How
Yeah.
can I learn these words, and not just words? I actually am a fan of language chunks. So often not just words, but expressions, phrases, maybe whole
Yeah.
sentences. So how can I make it happen? How can I learn them as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
And then in the third phase of the cooperation, there is a phase where the focus is more on role plays. So
Ah.
we have worked with the language, and now, okay, let's play it. Let's work it through. Okay, I am now the boss or a coworker or somebody. How would you react in this situation? What would you do? How would you present this topic?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's really like a rehearsal, because sometimes they have something very urgent, very important. They do know, okay, I will have this presentation in 2 weeks, so I want
Yeah.
to practice that with you.
Yeah.
So then they practice that with me, and at the end of the process, we always have a look. Okay, how far did we get? So have we reached the goals? So I think it is so important to measure the success.
Yeah.
It's also different than in teaching, because, okay, or maybe you have there like an exam or something. Here it's more about the performance. It's
Yeah.
not about the skill itself. Okay, can you use Konjunktiv 2 properly?
Yeah. Right.
More about, can you talk to your boss or
Yeah.
to your coworker properly? Did you feel confident and well in that situation? So those
Yeah.
are
The measures. That's
the
what you want
measure,
to achieve.
the
Yeah.
key, the KPIs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, we can, okay, is it what my client wanted, or maybe we can continue and we find a new goal. So then again,
Yeah.
another 3 months or even 6 months can be booked, and then we just keep on
Yeah.
working.
You can keep on going. Okay. So that's also something that just popped in my head when you explained this entire process, is that some people are probably frustrated because they are forced to learn the German language, right? Forced in that sense, like, okay, if you want to have a promotion at your job, you need to increase your German language. Or some people come here to Germany and realize, oh, it's actually, even though I applied for an English speaking job, it's a lot more German that I need to speak, and I need to up my game as quickly as possible. But actually, I don't really want to. So when I remember learning a language in school, it was always with pressure and force. And now that you tell me about this coaching process, it's more about, okay, how can we find a way so that it's the easiest for you and maybe even fun? Yeah. So that's what I love about that. So it's just a revolution of learning the language. I wish I had that. It's cool. Crazy. But
It
really
is really,
good.
it is a really cool approach. Yeah.
And
As you said, yeah.
and also as you mentioned, this KPI of, was I confident enough to speak in this meeting, for example? Whereas at the beginning of the coaching, they were just listening, wanted to say something, and then you feel like, oh, I wanted to say something. And then it doesn't really help, because in your mind, everything that you say, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say something? Yeah. But even though you could have said something, and then they have the confidence through you, through this co-creation, as you mentioned. That I love that term. That's really brilliant. Cool. And
Yeah, it is.
what do you like the most about your job?
The most, maybe one thing is, or that's definitely one thing that I really love, working with people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Because I just learned so much about different cultures, cultural differences, and almost every time it's just an inspiring story, because these people, everybody has a story. They somehow came to Germany, they have a dream, they want to reach something, and that's just so inspiring. And then I love being part of this whole process, and I love it when I see, okay, they have now the confidence, they did speak up, they did raise their voices, and they did make progress, and that's just yeah, a really nice thing to
And
see.
do you see from your perspective, as the German language trainer and coach, any difficulty when you're working with your clients? Is there anything that you find difficult when it comes to your job?
No, not really. That's the cool about the approach.
Yeah.
I found a lot of things difficult when I did the normal teaching,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of things. Very often you don't do what
Yeah.
people actually need from you, and
Yeah.
that's frustrating for both sides.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just don't understand, okay, why they are lacking motivation, why this is not working. And with this approach, it's really so tailored to the personal needs, that even if something is not working, then just, okay, let's just have a look. Why is it not working? And how could we do it differently? And then
Yeah.
you
Let's
just do another
adjust
way.
the
It's
process.
just, yeah, just the
Yeah.
process.
That's really cool. And when you, yeah, I see. So you eliminated the difficult parts, which is great. And now it's even more fun for you. So that's great. And
It is.
when your clients approach you, what's the most difficult part for them?
For them,
Normally, like on average, I know everybody is unique and has individual problems, but just in general, can you say anything that is most difficult to them?
we have already mentioned it. I think it's very often the lack of competence,
Yeah.
even if they already have a very decent level of German.
Yeah.
Very often they are just so scared to use it.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, that has a lot to do with different school systems and how we used to learn, or a lot of people still learn
Well, how
languages.
people are still learning language
You
in school.
mentioned the pressure, you mentioned, or we could mention the fear of failure. Yeah, what happens if you make a mistake, and would people think you are not as smart as you actually are, just
Yeah.
because you cannot express yourself the way you would in another language or in your own language?
Yeah.
And that's so I think the mindset is a big part, because the language is
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
not that
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I totally agree. That and it makes sense what you're saying. It's really, I think, difficult when we become adults and then need to learn a language as well, and have completely different experience from school how we learned that. But I love the fact that you are showing them that learning a language can actually be fun and easy and also quick somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now if people want to work with you, how can they find you? That's the most important question. How can they approach you? How can they find more about you and talk to you and learn how they can work with you?
I have a website that is called germanforsuccess.com. Also there, somebody can book a chemistry call or a strategy call for
Yeah.
free with
Okay.
me. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Also there, I have the same link where somebody can just click on and can immediately book a call with me. So first, I always have this chemistry call for free, because I think it's so important that we have the chemistry and the vibes, and this is also an approach that somebody needs to be open for.
Yeah.
So this is just very important, and
Yeah.
then we can decide together how we would go.
So, and when you are saying German for success, is it German minus success?
Yes, German
Yeah.
-for success.com.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
the easiest to find me is on LinkedIn, Marta
Yeah,
Kojnok on
yeah,
LinkedIn,
yeah.
and yeah.
And it's also, so for everybody that is watching, you will find the links in the comments below, where you'll find the links in the description of the video. And as Marta said, feel free to reach out. What I really like about her LinkedIn profile is that you can, when you take a close look at her profile picture, it's not a picture, it is a little video. And I love that. I really love that. It's the first thing, it's the first time that I actually came across that you can put a video in your profile picture.
Actually, I just changed it today, but I will have, because I changed my profile picture, but I will have a new video soon.
Yeah, cool. That's I didn't even know that it's possible to put a video there where you have the picture. But so if you now have heard about learning German can be fun and learning German can be easy, and you really want to go that next step in your career or just simply in your life, you know whom to address and whom to contact. It's Marta, and feel free to reach out to her. On her LinkedIn profile, you will find everything, also the link to her LinkedIn profile in the comments below, in the video description. So book your discovery call, your chemistry call with her today, so that you can start having fun learning the language.
Exactly.
Marta, it was so much fun, and I have so many more questions. Maybe we have to do another session at some point.
Yeah, why not?
Really lovely to have you as a guest today. Thank you so much for taking the
for
time.
having me again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
and
you,
speak to you guys. Oh, one more thing before I forget. So for everybody that is really excited as well, Marta is an expert speaker at our Welcome to Germany Summit as well. That is happening on the 29th of September this year from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So come along and join us there as well to learn even more about how Marta teaches German and helps you with her coaching approach with regards to learning German. So thank you very much, Marta, and speak to you very soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.